Hey, magic makers, we're going to do a little something different here. Today, I'm going to talk more about mindset. The last few weeks, we've been talking all about um, belly fat, and we've been talking about the consequences of belly fat. We've been talking about our choices. We've been talking about how to get consistency, create our code, all of that stuff. Today, I want to talk about the mindset shift that helps us to work our way through those steps. And recently, I was at an event a couple months ago, and I was introduced to what was called the drama triangle. Uh, and it was something I had never heard of before, but when it was explained to me, I was like, oh, yeah, I have clients that fall into that category. So let's just talk about like, what is it? So, how many of you experienced this? You've gone to a social event, there's a bowl of chips, a bottle of your favorite rosé, whatever your thing happens to be. And the next morning, you step on the scale and boom, you are up 10 pounds. And that inner mean girl comes out and was like, what the hell? You're so fat. You have no willpower. You have no discipline, all the things. And before you know it, you are vowing to hit the gym every single day to burn it off, to make up for your transgressions, if you will. Well, guess what? You have just hit every base of the drama triangle. So let's take a step back. What is the drama triangle? It was created by a gentleman by the name of Stephen Cartman, and it is the model of how humans interact with our lives. And there are three roles that all of us fall into. We might hit them all. We might hit two. We might hit three. We might just, be the overachievers that I know you guys are. So the first one is a victim. The victim feels helpless, like there's nothing you can do. If the chips weren't there, if the rosé wasn't there, I would have been fine. Persecutor is you blame other people, the situation, the environment, it's everyone's problem but yours, right? So it's like, I went to that party, therefore the chips were there, the rosé was there, right? And then you get all medieval on yourself because of the action that you took. And then we have, rescuer slash hero. You expect someone to come and save you. Someone should have taken those chips away from you. Maybe it be a family member who knew you were on your diet, a spouse, a friend, whatever, a coach to save you from yourself, right? Just jump in and save the day. And so here's the deal. Staying in these patterns keep you from making any real progress. And as a victim, you're always giving away your power. And as you become that persecutor or that bully, you're always tearing yourself down or looking for someone to tear you down. And as that rescuer slash hero, you're depending on something outside of you to save you from yourself. And this cycle is like a one-way ticket to frustration. And how I see this play out with clients is I have a client, Cecilia, and her parents have recently died, and so she's in charge of dealing with the estate. So she's cleaning out their house, dealing with her young children. And when I'm saying, hey, and she's trying to lose the belly fat, and I'm like, hey, so how'd it go this week? And basically it didn't go well this week because she's like, oh, Kim, I'm still dealing with cleaning out my parents' house. It's just so hard. And I have to, I'm an only child, so it's only up to me to get it done. And so she's playing the victim of like, I have to, deal with the estate and I just don't have any choices here. But she's also playing the hero, like, it's my parents. I have to help them out. I have to be the one who has to clean out the house. And so do you see how that loop happens? And, maybe as I'm saying this, maybe you're noticing some of the patterns you might fall into. Now, there's no blame here. It's kind of like identify what's happening and then how can we break out of that loop? How can we break out of that cycle? So hang on, because I'm going to share with you how to break out of that cycle. The second place is I want you to think about like, what if you stopped playing that victim, right? And started viewing yourself as the hero of the story. So instead of like beating the crap out of yourself for having the chips, there was for not being able to go to the gym because you're dealing with your parents' estate. What if you start to practice a little bit of self-compassion? Gave yourself a little bit of grace and acknowledge every small win. And I feel that so many times when we're in that victim state, it's because we tell ourselves the 500 things that have to get done. And if you only get to 490, it still doesn't count because I didn't get to 500. And so, what if we just kind of said, and one of the things I was working through with Cecilia is that, okay, great. I get it. Like, it's a big ass house and you got a lot of crap in there. I fully see that. My parents have a lot of shit, and I'm grateful that they're starting to think about how much shit they have. And so I want you to think to yourself, like, okay, what's one thing I can do? Like, do I have to tackle an entire room every time I go over there? Do I have to go over there every single day? Could it just be I'm going to tackle, a kitchen drawer, right? And check the box. Could it be, instead of feeling like I need to go to the gym for 2 hours, could I go to the gym for 20 minutes? Check the box, right? Maybe if your parents live close, can I walk to my parents' house and give myself that grace? Instead of feeling like I have to go over there every day, can I devote a half a day on a Saturday or Sunday to go over there, right? So we kind of have to start to see ourselves, you know, is there another outcome to this? And can I start to find smaller wins, right? If we go back to the belly fat podcast that I've been doing over the last few weeks, one of the things is that our code is like coming up with these like non-negotiables, right? These 1 to 3 little things that I can do that make me feel good. Could it be, yeah, sure, I go over there every night, but I come home and get my ass to bed, right? So what are the little things that you could acknowledge instead of waiting for the rescuer to like give you throw the life raft to you? You start to become your own champion, right? And trusting your inner guidance, building on that self-trust, knowing that I can do this without someone telling me step by step by step how to get it done. And by breaking free of this drama triangle, you start to like put your hands on your hips and you're like, I got this, right? My power comes back. My confidence comes back. And now when I start to see these little wins build up, I'm now feeling like I have the ability to actually hit my goals. So you move from that place of like, oh, I can't do this, to like, you know what? I'm doing it in a different way. I'm doing it at a different pace. And let me just kind of break back for just 1 second. One of the biggest like aha moments that I had that really, kind of blew this up for me was I had to pick a piece and make peace with it. And for many of you, I talk about seasonalities, and we have to own the season of life that we're in. And for many of us, we don't do that. I was recently in a Facebook group, and this woman was like, "Oh my God, I have, put on so much weight, and it's summer and it's this and it's that." And she didn't acknowledge that, like, sometimes summer things get a little out of sorts, right? And that's okay. But it's like, instead of just being like, oh, it's summer, victim, right? Right there, victim mode. And then you're waiting for someone in a Facebook group to come save you with like, and usually the the Facebook people, and if you've been this person, I want you to like, you know, I'm gonna shame you right now. I'm gonna give you the scraping my 2 index fingers over each other right now. I'm gonna tell you, never tell someone to go harder. Don't tell yourself to go harder. Don't tell someone else to go harder, because guess what? Going harder never, ever, ever works, because at some point you just run out of steam, right? Raise your hand if going harder was exactly what you needed to get back on track. And then if you're like, yeah, girl, that helped. I wonder how long you stayed there, right? Let's be honest with ourselves. Let's not blow smoke about each other's skirt. So the biggest thing I could say is find a pace and make peace with it. Now, here's the thing. I can't keep sprinting, right? Recently, some women who were in my belly fat code program, she had a lot of weight to lose. And so she's like, yep, I'm just gonna stay this way for the next 6 months. And I was like, you can't diet for 6 months. She's like, what do you mean? And I said, well, sure, you can diet, but at some point you're just gonna diet exhaustion is going to kick in, right? How many of you have had diet exhaustion? And so what I said to her is like, diet for about 12 weeks, added some more calories for, 12 weeks, diet again for 12 weeks. So that we're having this like cyclical cycle. And I have used this analogy regularly, is that that's what causes us to get into the cycle, right? So it's like, if I'm dieting and I'm starting to like my willpower, my discipline, all of that's starting to fade, I then become victim. This diet sucks. It's like, I'm gonna have to find another diet to save me from myself, right? You're off to the next thing because I'm starting to see the law of diminishing returns, right? That like my weight has plateaued. I'm not having the energy. My cravings are kicking up. So all the things that causes us to typically go off the diet is a sign for me to bring up my calories a little bit, to change how I'm working out a little bit, to maybe investigate my sleep, investigate my stress level, so that I can go back in with a renewed, refreshed approach. And that's how I work with my clients, is that sure, can I give you a meal plan? Yeah, I did that for decades, but guess what? It never worked because there's always, someone was like, I can't find kiwi at my grocery store. Now, when you say chicken, do you mean chicken breast, chicken thigh, whole chicken, rotisserie? Like it was just like, I was like, oh my God, I can't. I absolutely cannot. Right. So that's part of the reason why I don't give meal plans. But the other part is that like I I made you a victim. Like I became the hero in your story. Like I'm rescuing you. I'm throwing the meal plan to you as your life raft. And I don't want to do that anymore, because I want you to come out of the drama triangle and find yourself in what's called the winner's triangle, right? So that when I feel like I have like my power is restored, my confidence is back, I know I can hit my fitness goals. I am no longer at the mercy of my excuses, my negative self-talk, and I become this unstoppable goal-getting human being, right? So what's the opposite of the drama triangle? It's there are there are three ways into drama triangles. There's three ways out of the drama triangle. So one, I become the creator, right? I focus on the outcome. And I'm a big disciple of James Clear. And in the Atomic Habits, it's about I'm creating outcome-based habits, right? So it's that when I look at the outcome, I'm starting to say, what are the processes that I need to get that outcome, right? So I decide this is what I want. I stop blowing myself off, right? If I tell myself that I'm going to the gym at 6:30 a.m. or p.m., you decide I'm going to the gym at 6:30 a.m. or p.m. I'm not going to say, if it's 6:30 a.m., I'm setting myself a bedtime and I'm going to honor it. If it's 6:30 p.m., I'm not going to let work or something else derail me from heading to the gym or whatever it is I'm choosing to do. There was a TikTok that I was watching for a while. And it was this woman who was sitting at a coffee shop by herself, and she was pretending to talk on the phone, and she's like, "Oh, I get it. Last minute stuff happens all the time. Why don't we reschedule for Tuesday?" And then they're like, "Great, see you Tuesday." So Tuesday comes, woman sitting at the coffee shop, phone rings. Oh my God, girl, I'm so sorry. Again, I'm so sorry. I have to cancel on you. Right. So it's like over and over. So finally they'll reschedule. So then the third time the woman's like, is at the coffee shop, waited for this person. And she's like, you know what? I don't have time for you. Like, if you can't make time for me, I'm not going to make time for you. And so I want you to think about 9 times out of 10, right? If there was a person waiting for us at that coffee shop or wherever you meet someone, and they kept saying to you last minute, "Oh, girl, so sorry. Oh, girl, so sorry." How many more chances would you give them? So I want you to think about that for yourself, right? How many more chances would you give yourself? Or would you finally say, you know what? Screw you, and not do it and blow that person off. So I want you to stop blowing yourself off. And I think we blow ourselves off because we try to jump into something that isn't sustainable, right? I still work at a gym a couple days a week, and new members will come in and I'll be like, "Hey, what does this look like for you?" And nowadays I see a lot of like new exercisers, right? Many of us went and survived Rona, and now we're kind of like relooking at our lives and wanting to get back in fitness. And So many people I recommend to them, I'm like, why don't we start coming in 1 to 2 days a week, right? And I say this not because that's going to get you to the end goal. I say this because I want you to start getting a track record, right? Because if I start coming in 1 to 2 days a week and I start doing it and I feel good, I'm going to want to add a third. I'm going to want to add a fourth. Because when I say I want you in here 4 to 5 days a week and you're just getting off the couch, that's going to seem damn near impossible. And if the first month, if you don't make those 4 to 5 days, guess what? You're not going to say, "Oh, it's the gym. I'm just going to scale back and come back the 1 or 2 days." No, you're going to be like, "See, I failed, victim," right? So I might as well just quit, right? That's how it typically plays out. So I want you to think about, how can you become the creator in this situation? The second place is the coach, right? Be your own coach. Ask yourself better questions instead of bullying yourself and blaming yourself for that bowl of chips or that bottle of rosé. Ask yourself, like, what could I have done differently, right? And so if I go back to that belly fat code podcast, I talk about, how do you go to a social event, right? You got a decision or you got a choice. And how do you do that so that we're no longer blaming or complaining about the situation or the environment I was in? We're setting boundaries. We're getting clear about what feels easy for us. We're getting clear about what feels good so that there is none of this, like, inner mean girl gangster coming out because we tripped, right? Who doesn't trip? How many of us have ever had like an epic trip in front of like a million people? I've had several. I have had absolutely several. I've fallen down the stairs at a bar. I have fallen down in the middle of the street. Like, there's so many times I've done it, but am I still laying in that street? No. Embarrassed as hell, I got myself up. Well, in the middle of the street, I had to get myself up or I'd be hit by a car. But I got myself up. And then the last place is a challenger. Here's where you start to challenge your own thoughts. And, I've talked about the mindset shifts that need to be made, that, the old rigid thinking that this is the way it has to be. And if, I can only do it this one way and this one path, that shit's got to go, right? You have to start to like lean into that. You know what? If what I'm doing is not working, no matter how hard I go, I got to do something different. And different doesn't mean harder. Different just means different. It could just be that, we have something different for breakfast. We change the quantities of what I'm eating. We raise our hand and we work with a coach, right? That's different. And so, magic makers, I challenge you, like, have you been living in this drama triangle? And if so, what role or roles have you been playing? Have you been the victim? Like, have you been like, oh, I can't, there's nothing I could do about my weight. There's nothing I could do about my work situation. There's absolutely nothing I could do about how my family is. Or, like, have you been laying down in the road waiting for the car to run you over? Have you been playing the persecutor, or that you're just like, oh, you know, I just suck, and this is why, like, I didn't do it perfectly, so this is why I'm here. This because I can't do 500 things on the list. Like, this is exactly why I haven't lost the weight. This is exactly why I'm not working out. Or you're waiting for that hero, that magic meal plan, that magic workout, that magic coach to just come and save you from all of your problems, from all of this weight, right? Or you're gonna flip it around and you're gonna be like, you know what? All I can do is take one step. All I can do is, instead of saying why, instead of saying, like, "Oh, I suck because I didn't work out." Well, why didn't you go to the gym, girl? And support yourself there and challenge your thoughts. Am I trying to just go back to a workout I did 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and expecting the same miracles that I got before? Because guess what? Our bodies have changed, right? At this point, if you are over 35, your hormones are starting to get buck wild. They're starting to just live on their own terms. And different is how it's going to get you, not harder. And so what I'd love for you is for you to identify, like, where have you been playing? Have you been playing in the victim pool, the persecutor pool, the rescuer hero pool? And do me a favor, screenshot that thing and share it with me and let me know where have you been playing? And if you're ready for a little bit of a deeper dive, I invite you to join me for my free masterclass, Conquering the Over 40 Fluff. That's going to be in the show notes. And we are talking about how do we, step into a different role here, and how do we overcome the 40 fluff through nutrition, workouts, mindset shifts, all of that magical stuff. So if this resonates with you, I would love to see you inside of that free masterclass. Magic Makers, thank you so much for taking the time today to listen to today's podcast. And I will talk to you next week. We've got some exciting stuff coming up, and I can't wait to share it with you.